You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
So excited you could join me here today for this Friday review, where we're about to go through, just like we do each and every Friday, the best of the week. So what's new, what's been happening in the practice, our functional medicine practice here in Boston, and of course all over the world where we work with people over Skype. I also like to bring you my favorite product review of the week, some research or what's in the news that I want to bring you as well. That's going to be a little different this week. And then, of course, each and every Friday through 2018, our super nutrient of the week. Hopefully you've been tuning in for those shows as well. So I want to dive right into it today. And the reason is that we have so much to go over, kind of what's been happening, what people have been writing in on. And we've just gotten the Cabral house calls on the weekend. I don't know if you've been tuning in or not, but really some of the best content we put out is answering people's questions, our community's questions, each and every weekend. And right now, to date, we've answered over 2,000 questions that have come in. That does not even include our Cabral support group. So our Cabral support group is our private Facebook group. Any positive person out there can join that wants to get answers to the questions about where they can start, how they can begin to lose the weight, get well, or live longer, stronger. That's what it's all about. We're there to support each other. Remember, we're all in this together, which means this, is that sometimes a person in the group will have gone through what you've gone through, or they'll have the answer that you need. We're just there to support each other from different viewpoints. That's what it's all about. It's not about me being right. It's not about one of my team members. It's about how can all of us get together to help each other or to help one individual get the results that they're looking for. Sometimes it's just like, hey, is this a good product or not a good product? Or what lab do you recommend if I'm suffering from these symptoms? We'll help you there at cabralsupportgroup.com. But on the weekends, people write in at stephencabral.com/ask Cabral. That's where I answer the Cabral house call questions that come in over the weekend. I get to about 8 of those or so per show and about 15 to 20 per weekend. Now, those, though, do take, I will let you know, about 2 months or so for me to get back to, and that's obviously because we have a big backlog. We've answered over 2,000 of these questions, and I'll continue to keep doing that. I love doing that. I can actually see right now that we've had 2,141 questions answered, and my team has let me know that we've answered now over 2,000 community questions over the last couple of years. So excited just to have been able to reach 2,000 different individual people with the questions that they may not have gotten the answer before. So I love doing that. Tune in Saturdays and Sundays for those shows, and they're all individual questions. Of course, you can go back to previous shows by simply going to stephencabral.com/podcast, and if you scroll down the page, any show that begins with house call is obviously our weekend house calls. I'm getting all of these different messages and pop-ups in the background. I need to put on my do not disturb. All right, there we go. So excited about being able to answer all those questions. I want to bring that to you. But the other thing that's really great right now is that we're getting a lot of positive feedback on the Ayurvedic series. This is each and every week. We are able to teach people in a deeper way, but also in a more real-world way of how to bring Ayurvedic medicine or Ayurveda into their life, because Ayurveda is actually 8 different branches. And I like to look at it as working on the entire individual. So we're working on the mental, the physical, the spiritual. We're really taking the whole person into account. And right now, what we've been teaching over the past 3 weeks is going over the dosha, or the body types. And I hope you have tuned into all of those shows. They're episode, I believe, 907, 914, and 922. The 914, let me just check that because I want to make sure I'm giving you the right intel on that. And yes, it was 907, 914, and 922. And if you listen to those in order, you will understand that I took the basics, I built upon that, and then I made it even more in depth for 922. So check out those shows. I truly believe that if you understand your dosha, if you understand your body type, that is, in essence, your uniqueness, who you are. You can begin to accept yourself on a deeper level which is, it brings so much more peace to your life. You can then accept other people for their differences as well and within their own genetics, their own prakriti. So such a really great thing to understand and make a part of your life. And hopefully other practitioners will be able to include it in their practice as well as they begin to study and read and learn even more. So really happy, and thank you so much for the feedback on that. And the other is our Dr. Cabral Detox is finally back in stock. It was actually only out of stock for about 5 days, but we sold out unexpectedly. We got a lot more people doing it, and that's obviously great. So our goal is to never sell it again. So we always kind of just keep stocking it. But the difference, too, with the Equilibrium Nutrition line of products is that they're fresh. They're literally made every 1 to 2 months. And now, maybe that doesn't sound like a lot to you, but keep in mind, most products, they sit on the shelves for over a year. I would never put that in my body, and I don't want you to put it necessarily into yours. It's not that it's bad. It's just I like my food and I like my nutritional supplements fresh. Like, that's basically the bottom line. So that's what we try to provide you. It is back in stock. And the reason I mention that right now is on Instagram this week. That's why if you don't follow on Instagram, you have to check it out, is that we did a fun giveaway. We hit 3 million downloads of the Cabral Concept podcast. You know, that number is really, it's not even fathomable to me. It's 3 million downloads. It's unbelievable. I can't begin to express to you in words how much it means to me that people tune in to the Cabral Concept for the message that I'm trying to bring to the world. And we're at 3 million now. We're approaching 500,000 downloads per month. And my goal is to reach 1 million downloads per month, not because of any particular reason, but I just know that 1 million downloads per month, it's like, okay, we're reaching so many people. And then all I want is, even if no one else listens to the podcast, is that they can then share what they've learned with their family, with their coworkers, with their community. Again, even if they never tune into the Cabral Concept, fine. But they're still getting some advice from someone that can bring a new perspective into their life. That's what it's all about. And again, we all need this in our life. People do it in different areas of their life. I'm simply trying to do it from a natural health perspective about what to stay away from in the environment and all these toxins that I talked about in the rain barrel effect. But also that whatever you're suffering from right now, there is truly an answer. There really is. You'll be able to figure it out. You honestly will. You can do it through trial and error. You can do it through specific protocols, or you can do it through lab testing. And if you lab test, you can see what your deficiencies are and what your toxicities are. So I just want people to know that there are options. And just, again, very, very grateful that we've reached this number. And so I was doing a giveaway on Instagram this week of giving away free Dr. Cabral detoxes. Just, again, as a fun giveaway, is just to thank everyone for tuning in, and also signed copies of my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. So that's it. Hopefully you've been enjoying that. 2 more quick updates. In about 2 weeks, we will be bringing to you our brand new chocolate daily nutritional support shake. It is literally absolutely delicious. People who love chocolate will literally love this shake. And we've been so excited and couldn't wait to get this to you. So that will be coming in, hopefully, we're hoping September 1st. So stay tuned for that. Of course, I'll announce it on the podcast. And what else do I want to say? And the last is that I appreciate your patience with us with getting our CBD oil back on the website for you. The only reason it's not right there isn't that we don't have it in stock. We do. It's ready to go. Our bank processor, since we are, we're one of the biggest functional medicine online and virtual-based practices in the world. And I'm very happy to say that. I don't say that with ego or anything like that. It's just that that's how this has grown, okay? It wasn't that way 2 years ago, but that way now that a lot of beautiful and great things come from that, right? Great relationships that I meet with other people, and I've met so many people from around the world. It's absolutely fantastic. However, you also then get on people's radars, right? And so since we were a bigger company and we were promoting all of the benefits, don't have to purchase through us, but all the benefits of CBD, well, we, got looked at. And so what we have to do is we have to then go through a specific bank processor that allows for the sale of CBD and all these different hoops that you need to jump through for literally no reason, except that that's what the government has decided to do. So that's literally it. It's a product that you can't overdose on, that has massive clinical benefits, everything from epilepsy to autism to ADD to anxiety to insomnia to inflammation to tumors, cancerous tumors. All the information is there. 891 plus PubMed studies on it, right? The difference was we were also selling the highest quality, and will be, hopefully in just another week, the highest quality CBD oil in the country, right? If not the world, because you can't process it better. So We're using the exact extraction methods, the CO2 processing. We're using their organic crop, so there's no pesticides on it. And we're providing 25 milligrams per serving. No one else does higher than that. They don't. Most people do 5 milligrams, which means you need to take 5 times the dosage of the product that we offer. And we work with the best farms. We make sure that it's fair to the farmers, all of those things. And so there are people in power who don't necessarily like to see that, but we will be back. We've vowed to make sure that we can provide that to people. And the reason is this, is that we're a functional medicine practice first, which means that everything we do is based on healing the body, not on marketing, not on how much our product costs, not on any of those things. It's the best possible product with the best possible results. That's it. That's what I want to provide. And so thank you again for your patience. It will be back very soon. I will put it into an email. And if you're on the email list, then you'll get that. I'll put it hopefully on Instagram. And of course, I'll announce it on the podcast. All right. That's what's new. That's what's been happening. And now what I want to do, and a lot of people already know about this, they saw last weekend. I was actually in Maine. I was with my family. I posted on Instagram me using a brand new product I was sent. I was like a kid on Christmas morning, or pick your favorite holiday, waking up to like a new gift, like a new present that I've been waiting weeks for this thing to arrive. So it arrived at Boston. I literally lugged it up to Maine. It's not that big. It's actually not that big a box. You can see, I'll post it on Instagram again. But it's a product called Normatec. Normatec Recovery is the actual name of the company. Now, I was turned on originally to this product by a colleague of mine, Ben Greenfield. And so Ben's like a biohacker. He knows a lot about all of these different types of products. And I said, well, I'm not into necessarily pushing the body to the limit, but I am in terms of recovery. And that's because I work with a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, where they can still do the same exercise. They can still do the same movements, but their recovery is slower, right? And I also work with, of course, professional athletes. And I work with people that the recovery is part of their job, right? It's like the second half. It's like exercise, working out, but it's also recovery. And that is usually more of their job, believe it or not. That's how they recover faster. That's how they perform better. That's how they practice harder. Well, one of the products that I was really impressed by their research and I began to understand how it worked is called Normatec. I want to explain this to you because it's literally a massage without the massage therapist for your legs. Now, you can get it for your upper body as well. I got the one for your legs specifically. I want to explain why. It is more difficult to get the legs to circulate and recover than it is for the upper body. And it's simply because the lymphatic fluid in the legs is more sluggish, okay? So you need more of a pump from the gastrocnemius, and you need more of a flow coming from downhill against gravity uphill. There are also other reasons for this. More than 2/3 of all the muscle mass in your body are in your legs. And if you're training for metabolism, if you're training for body transformation, or you're training for sports, you are working those glutes, you're working your quads, you're working your calves, okay? Really, really important. One of the ways that I find myself getting run down first, again, I've just over the years become very in tune with my body. The way that I know that my body is starting to get a little bit more rundown is that my feet and my calves start to get very tired. I almost can't stand on my feet. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. I've been kind of pushing my body for too hard for too long. Well, what the Normatec does is it takes massage and it takes lymphatic, so manual lymph drainage. I've spoken about this before. It's an ancient Ayurvedic technique called Abhyanga. It's one of the forms of Abhyanga, which is massage. And again, I've talked about this in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect as well. And it helps to move the lymphatic fluid. Well, what is the lymphatic fluid? It's essentially this. It is the cleaning system of your body. There's more than double, probably somewhere around 4 times the amount of fluid in the lymph system than there is actually of your blood. And what happens is after a workout, you get a lot of metabolic waste. You have to understand that every cell in your body is its own entity. When you work it, it produces its own waste, acids, right? A lot of people say, there's no such thing as alkaline and acid. They simply don't understand the different compartments and tissues of the body. When your body produces more waste, that waste is actually an acid. It's a byproduct. Now, you need to remove that from what's called the interstitial milieu. I don't want to get too technical, but because I don't want you to get bogged down in the science. But what it means is that around each cell, the fluid needs to be clean. So you need to remove that, and the interstitial milieu is the fluid around the cells. And that's within the tissues. The cells make up tissues. So why is this important? Well, in order for you to get waste out and nutrients in, that means your B vitamins, that means your amino acids, that means all the things that your body needs to recover, you need to have that interstitial milieu be clean. And that means that your lymphatic system, which moves in and out of all of this tissue and cells, needs to be flowing. So the faster you can get your lymphatic system moving through things like rebounding and dry brushing and infrared sauna and your exercise, the better. Well, how can you do that within 20 to 30 minutes and get that complete, essentially, recovery? You can do that with a product called Normatec. I'm going to give you a couple ways that you can use this, and if you're a health practitioner, why you might want to add it to your practice as well. So, of course, before I even get to use any product, I have to read the directions, and then my wife gets the benefit first. So she actually was sitting down in the chair, and she, obviously, most people love massage, right? My wife loves massage. So I put these on. They're basically booties, but it goes all the way up the leg, all the way to the groin. And you just zip them right up. They're super simple to put on. They're basically like, what's the best way to say this? They're made of this, almost like, I remember I used to teach sailing way back in the day. It's made of like the same material as, I can't think of the material right now. Anyway, it's a very strong material that's not going to tear and that's going to be allowed to inflate. So this machine, with the push of one button, that's all you need to do is literally press what's called the play button. That's it. Turn it on, press play. It starts to inflate the feet first. That's zone 1. And then it holds that, and then it begins to move up to the calves. It holds that, and then it pulses the next area above. So if you think about it, what's it doing? It's squeezing the fluid from the bottom and pushing it up. Why does it push it up? Because very simply, the way that your lymphatic system moves, and I've spoken about this before on previous podcasts, you can look this up, is that you can just type in lymph. Go to stephencabral.com/podcasts and type in LYMPH, lymph. And you'll see how it works. So essentially what you're doing is you are trying to move the lymph through your body all the way up to the heart or the greater thoracic duct to move the waste out of your body. The faster you can do that, the more blood flow you can bring to the lower body. Now, in addition to your nutrition, the faster you will recover. This is clinically proven. And I'll link up Normatec today, but they actually put all of the studies on their website as well. So this is a scientifically proven product. But remember, I always say I don't care about the product if it's scientifically proven or not, unless it also passes real-world physiology and science. And it does, because this is basically manual lymph drainage with recirculation and removal of waste. It's beautiful in how it works. So what it's doing is then I said this is not going to be good for a lot of people with higher blood pressure or vascular-based issues if it's staying squeezed the whole time. But they've already thought about that. So what it does is after it's moved the lymph up to basically the quads, it's your upper thighs, it starts to release the feet, and then it just circulates the pattern through. Now, I've only used it a few times. I will plan to continue to use it. But what I found is I set it to a 30-minute setting. That was great for me. And every 7 minutes seems to be a complete round through. So you could literally do it for about 21 minutes if you wanted or so, and you would get 3 full rounds through. That's what I found. Of course, they'll probably differ from that. And I've found that was almost enough. So I think you could definitely get away with 20 minutes, 21 minutes on this, and then obviously just hit the pause button, and it will deflate. So really, really great product. I could go on and on about this. I'm going to link up NormatecRecovery.com. But what I'm going to do is, so just simply go to stephencabral.com/924. Okay, stephencabral.com/924. And one of the things you can do is you can obviously buy this for home use, and that would be absolutely fantastic. But what you'll want to potentially do is look up a location in your area. All right, I'm going to link that up too. It's just NormatecRecovery.com/try-Normatec. Because all over the United States, and I'll see if they have it all over the world, I need to look for that, but I know at least in the United States, is that you'll find chiropractors, cryotherapy institutes, personal trainers, CrossFits, wellness centers have a pair of the Normatec. And because they know that they work, and they know that they're going to be able to help Ironman athletes, triathletes, right? Or marathon runners, or CrossFit-based athletes. I could also see a massage therapist doing this, and as they're working on your upper body, you have the Normatec going on your lower body, right? Or after a personal trainer is done with the studio, maybe you have a separate area of your studio, a recovery center, where the person's getting a smoothie, and they're also doing the Normatec at the same time. Or you have a wellness center, and you're just setting people up with maybe it's acupuncture, right? Or Reiki, and you're doing the upper body and Normatec on the lower body. Like, there's a lot of different uses. So if you are a health practitioner, this might be something that you want to look more into. And the reason I mention this is that It could be a really great value add-on for your clients or patients, and it's hands-off. I mean, the device works on its own. And of course, if you are an athlete or you're someone that just loves getting leg massages and all of the comfort that goes along with that, I'll link it up. And of course, you can shop for yourself as well. Again, the one that I tried out, just to let you know, is called the Normatec Pulse, not the Pulse Pro, but the Normatec Pulse. And I just got the lower body unit because that's what I think the most benefit would be derived from. So really enjoyed the product. Again, I'll link it up at stephencabral.com/924. And of course, if Normatec wants to provide my listeners, our community, with any type of code, I'll see if they want to, but obviously that's up to them. Great product. And again, health practitioners could use it in their clinic, and then your everyday person is welcome, obviously, to purchase the same product that they might use in a chiropractic, wellness, personal training, CrossFit, et cetera, studio. So a lot of fun. Enjoyed being able to use that myself. All right, let's move on. Okay, so I couldn't not bring you this information today because of literally the insanity of the world we live in today. The FDA is working with the Senate right now to potentially put a law through that nut milk is no longer going to be able to be called milk. Yes, you heard that correctly. According to this, now this is absolutely amazing, there's something called the Dairy Pride Act. And this was developed by Democrats from Wisconsin. And honestly, it doesn't matter to me whether they're Democrats or Republicans. I'm not big on all of that. I'm not a big politics type guy. It's okay if you are. I'm just not. And what they're looking to do is, because the milk industry and dairy industry is losing so much ground to nut milks, that they actually want to stop hemp milk, coconut milk, almond milk, Brazil nut milk, macadamia nut milk, oat milk, hemp milk, all of the different milks from being able to call it milk. Under this new act, what they want to do is they want to regulate it with a new FDA, so Food and Drug Administration rule or law or act that would ban the use of the term milk for non-dairy products. They want it to be, the FDA says, milk is a lacteal secretion obtained by the complete milking of one or more healthy cows and nothing else. Which to me, first of all, is completely insane. That we have to use the specific vernacular has to be used only for one type of thing, even though we're just calling it milk. It's just a name. It's a word. But also, I love how they put in the word healthy cows. I mean, how many healthy cows are out there right now that are on a farm, on a dairy milking farm? Because I'm pretty sure they're hooked up to machines all day and they're put on certain hormones so that they continue to lactate. They're pumped full of growth hormone. They're fed antibiotics so that they can actually stay alive, because the food that they consume is everything from other animal-based parts, other cows. They're fed corn and soy and grain, and these are all GMO-based products. And they're also fed things like Skittles, and you can look that up. You can just type in Skittles used as feed for cattle or cows. So these animals are not healthy in the first place. For the most part, again, are there some healthy cows? Absolutely. Is that the commonplace? I would say absolutely not. And we can look at that, meaning if a cow's healthy, it doesn't need to be on antibiotic. That's my philosophy, right? Healthy cows don't take pharmaceutical drugs. But we know right now that over 50% of all antibiotics go directly to the cows. What do those cows do? They give us our milk, right? And then that milk gets turned into things such as butter and cheese and all sorts of other dairy products, right? And we consume these dairy products and we're told that they're healthy for us, especially for kids. And my argument has been forever that that is simply not true. So first of all, you have to make the argument, is dairy a health product in the first place if it's coming from cows? And I've already made this argument before on the podcast, so I'm not going to chat about that today. But also, if your answer is yes, then you also have to say, well, is the cow healthy then in the first place? Because if the cow's healthy, how is it producing a byproduct that it's healthy for you? The answer is it's simply not, right? And we know that in all of this, these diseased cows, there's blood, there's pus, and there's all sorts of other things because the udders are actually infected on the animal. And this is not to gross you out or any of those things. This is to share with you the truth, because what you put into your body and what you put into your child's body matters to me. And that's because I don't want us and I don't want the next generation of children to be sick or even sicker than we are, right? We have 55 million plus Americans with autoimmune-based conditions. That's the minimum, right? That's the lowest number that have been diagnosed. And we have over 1 out of 3 adults on some type of pharmaceutical. We have 66% of the population overweight, with at least 1/3 being obese or morbidly obese. We have 25% of the children right now overweight and also on some type of pharmaceutical drug as well. This is not the way that we humans are meant to live. We should not be kept alive by drugs and eating inferior food. This has recently happened. Remember, this is only since like the 40s and 50s. It hasn't even been 100 years of the drastic change in the food quality. I want us to think about that. I want us to think about maybe starting to chat with our local farmers, maybe going to more farmers markets, maybe eating more of a plant-based diet. So again, these are all things just to look at. You don't have to make the change today or even tomorrow, but let's maybe move in that direction, right? So I wanted to bring you that. Actually, today's podcast was actually some herbal-based remedies that I've seen working really well for DVT, blood clots, varicose veins, but I'm going to get to that next week. I'm actually making a note right now because we ran out of time for that, and I want to be respectful of your time. I really do. I want to keep this to about a half hour or so each day. So I'm just going to write in there for blood clots, if you know anybody with one or prone to one, as well as varicose veins. We'll do that in the next show as well. Okay, so we'll do that next Friday. I'm going to put that in my notes. So what I'd like to do right now is move on to our super nutrient of the week. So this week, I'm really excited to bring you the super nutrient of the week called DIM. And DIM is short for diindolylmethane. And diindolylmethane actually is a component or the principal byproduct of what's called indole-3-carbinol, I3C. Why is this important? Here's why. So many people in our practice right now, let's talk about women first, are coming in with some type of estrogen dominance. What does this mean? Estrogen dominance can show up as increased water weight retention. It can be lower mood, more irritability. It can be additional cellulite. It could be brain fog. It can be digestive-based issues. And it can also show up in a greater form such as PCOS or uterine fibroids or even breast cancer. So what we do is we use a lab test called the adrenal hormone test, which looks at estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, and cortisol. And oftentimes we'll add on thyroid on top of that, which includes the thyroid adrenal hormone also includes, besides thyroid, the TPO antibodies for Hashimoto's, as well as insulin, hemoglobin A1C, and vitamin D, which if you lean towards PCOS, estrogen dominance, weight gain, uterine fibroids, so important that you run that thyroid hormone adrenal test without a doubt. So what we find is that a lot of women actually have fairly normal levels of estrogen, fairly normal. But what happens is, relatively speaking, to their progesterone, the levels of estrogen are high, which means they have a low estrogen to progesterone ratio. This then shows all of the symptoms that I just named, headaches and the water retention and all of those different things, as if they actually had too much estrogen in the body. But what happens is this. Since they don't have enough progesterone, oftentimes because stress levels are too high or there's a lot of toxicity in the body, that their levels of estrogen are now dominant, although normal, because the ratio is off. Now, in men, we see this predominantly as breast tissue growth in men, and we see it is in prostate-based problems as well. Because estrogen can absolutely affect the prostate, which can also then cause more of a conversion from testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, also known as DHT. Why does that matter? Well, it causes men to lose their hair on the top of their head. It can cause actual hair growth through excessive androgens or conversion on the face in women, and then also the back or other hair on men, and also inflammation of the prostate, which could potentially then lead to prostate-based cancer. All of this is very, very important, and we know a product that comes from things like cabbage and broccoli and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower and kale and mustard greens and radishes and watercress and turnips and collard greens and those cruciferous-based products, right? Cruciferous vegetables, I just named them. But in your cruciferous vegetables, there's a natural phytochemical. That's why, again, humans are meant to eat plants. I can't push this on people enough, okay? They're not meant to get 70% of the macros through fats. That is not a human diet for long term. Short term, we can make that argument. Not long term, okay? because the byproducts in all of these plants are what allow us to stay healthy naturally, right? So that phytochemical in plants called indole-3-carbinol, I3C, will then allow for the downstream breakdown, flow in a good way, of diendiol methane, DIM. Okay. So what does this do? Well, predominantly, it can help with testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. It can absolutely help with that. But what it really allows is for there to be less of the inflammatory estrogen that can lead to breast cancer and other inflammatory issues in the body. It can also lead to weight gain in women. It can lead to a lot of premenstrual-based symptoms as well. Uterine fibroids, it can lead to their growth as well. And that's why DIM's been clinically shown in the literature between 150 and 300 milligrams per day to shrink the uterine fibroids. It's been shown to be protective for cervical cancer, for breast cancer, and for prostate-based inflammation. Okay, let's go into this a little bit deeper. The bad estrogen that we're really talking about, the negative estrogen, is 16-alpha-hydroxyestrone. Do most people need to know that? No, they do not. But there are a lot of health practitioners that tune into the Cabral concept that are then helping their patients and wellness clients, etc. So you do have to understand that not all estrogen is created equal. There's actually a more of a protective form of estrogen, and estriol, but the protective form of good estrogen in this case, that DIM can help with because it can lead to a greater amount of good estrogen called 2-hydroxyestrone versus the 16-alpha-hydroxyestrone. This means that when we have more of the beneficial estrogen, we can actually build up more bone, we can reduce a lot of these inflammatory-based issues, and a lot of the symptoms that go along with them, of course, but also we can burn more body fat naturally. And I don't want to get into this too much, but what happens is when you have more of the good estrogen in your body, there are actually more receptors on the adipose tissue or fat cells, so that when you do exercise, because exercise is crucial, that we move our bodies, that the body, though, when it has less harmful estrogen and more good estrogen, it is able to open up more receptors on the outside of those cells. Okay, what does this mean? Well, when we exercise, we produce more catecholamines. And those catecholamines, if there are more protein receptors on the fat cells, signal the fat cells to be used for fuel, to become oxidized, to be used for energy. And so it's such a great thing. And that's why so many women in our practice are getting benefit from this product called Estrogen Balance. I'm going to link it up in the show notes. Why Estrogen Balance? Well, let me give you the show notes first. So you simply go to stephencabral.com/924. That's all of today's show notes. I talk about the Normatec there. I'll even link up the FDA ridiculous argument on renaming nut milk to not be called milk. So you can check that out. Have a good laugh for yourself as well. But this product, Estrogen Balance, now again, you are welcome. You're always welcome to purchase any functional medicine nutritional supplement, ideally from your functional medicine practitioner, or just through a source that you trust, right? Because if you're going to use a nutritional supplement, please trust the source that it's coming from. So what we do with Estrogen Balance is this, and again, I'm giving you the exact dosage you need. How much DIM do you need per day? 150 milligrams to 300 milligrams per day. That's what the medical literature shows for both men and women to get the desired effect. What do? Well, I believe in using the most natural process possible. So in Estrogen Balance, the product that I'm formulating for Equilibrium Nutrition, I like to give you the vitamin E, which is an antioxidant that helps with the oxidation in terms of negative or inflammatory estrogen as well. But also, it acts as preserving the I3C and the DIM in the product. So we already talked about DIM is where the byproduct, the positive byproduct of eating the cruciferous vegetables. So should you just supplement not eating cruciferous vegetables? No. Ideally, you're eating the broccoli and the cauliflower and the mustard greens and all of those great things, right? But on a daily basis, you want to know exactly how much you're getting. And the goal is not to use DIM for the rest of your life, right? I don't preach that. What I'm saying is use it for 4 to 6 months. Get yourself in better balance by doing the other things that also lower cortisol, maybe like using Adrenal Soothe and magnesium and things like that, working on a good lifestyle-based program, breathing, meditation, hatha yoga, going for walks, all of those things, right? I give them all to you in the Rain Barrel Effect. They're all there exactly what to do. So what I did with this product was give you per capsule 100 milligrams of DIM. Okay, it's 2 capsules per day. Now you're right in the clinical benefit of 200 milligrams, right? Between the 150 and 300. But I'm also giving you 200 milligrams per capsule of I3C, which means you will also get more natural conversion if your body wants it by converting I3C to more DIM. So not only we get the 200 milligrams of DIM, you're getting 400 milligrams a day of I3C, which then, if your body needs it, that's important, will then convert to more diindolylmethane, methane, which is really, really important because that is what allows then for estrogen not to become as dominant, not to cause as many symptoms in both men and women. Again, men having prostate issues, I cannot recommend enough the advanced prostate support. And of course, really doing something like the 21-day Dr. Ball detox for both men and women to get these toxins out of the body. Remember, the negative estrogen that I spoke about before, the 16-alpha, can also come from plastics, too much screen time. This is so important that we look at that. It's the outside environment that's also causing the increase in internal estrogen within the body. So I'm going to link up the product that I recommend. We use it, again, all the time in my practice and with exceptional results. So that is called DIM. The product that we're using is called Estrogen Balance. But right now you have all the information you need, how to use it in a positive way. And one more tip I'll give you is that what we do is we do 1 capsule in the morning and 1 capsule in the evening, 2 capsules per day. It lasts 1 month. I recommend using it for anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks initially, and then you can continue on for 4 to 6 months as you are rebalancing the body, and then wean yourself off. Go down to 1 capsule and then eventually come off the product when you feel you are ready and your labs are balanced. Hopefully that was helpful. You know that I'm always open to any questions that you have. Any follow-ups, please let me know. Always happy to answer those questions. Thank you so much for tuning into another Cabral Concept. For all today's show notes, go to stephencabral.com/924, and I'll be chatting with you tomorrow on our weekend Cabral House Calls. Have an amazing weekend, everyone. Take care, and please, as always, do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stephencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.